Good morning. It's Wednesday, December 3rd. The multi-front war in the Middle East is now 790 days old. I'm your host, FDD Senior Research Analyst Natalie Ecanow, filling in for Jonathan Schanzer. Welcome back to the FDD Morning Brief. I want to give a shout out to my colleague Mariam Waba for showing me a little notice post on X yesterday about the Qataris supposedly sharing tricks of the trade with the LAPD. I don't know about you, but a Muslim Brotherhood promoting Hamas-sponsoring government liaising with American police officers doesn't make me super comfy. Today's guest is Amr Al Bidh, a member of the Presidential Council of the Southern Transitional Council, or STC. For those unfamiliar, STC represents southern Yemen and advocates for the region's independence from the north, which is largely controlled by the Iran-backed Houthis. John and Amr sat down last week for a pre-recorded pre-Thanksgiving convo about the latest developments in Yemen, and we'll play that for you in just a moment, so stay tuned. But first, have you guys seen the show Friends? I've been thinking about this one episode where Joey tells Phoebe that there's no such thing as a selfless good deed, and then Phoebe spends the rest of the episode trying to find one. The storyline popped into my head the other day when I was responding to a reporter about Qatari involvement in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Bear with me, it'll make sense in a sec. There's a conflict going on right now in the DRC between Congolese forces and a Rwanda-backed rebel group. The Qataris have emerged as one of the leading mediators between the two sides. Mediation is an essential part of Qatari foreign policy. It's not just a Gaza thing. Qatari officials were reportedly involved in drafting the 28-point plan for Ukraine that dropped earlier this month, and they've dipped their toes in Venezuela work too. The Qataris are active all over the map, and I'm struggling to find just one place where there isn't a conflict of interest. Certainly not in Gaza, where the Qataris have a stake in Hamas's survival. Qatar owns nearly a fifth of Russia's state oil companies, so I don't think we can say Doha is neutral in that conflict either. Even in the DRC, there's baggage because Qatar has sunk significant capital in the Congolese mining sector. Could Venezuela be a winner? Maybe, but the Qataris are a bit too buddy-buddy with Maduro to say for certain. Which brings me back to Friends and the question policymakers should be asking. When it comes to Qatari mediation, is there such thing as a selfless good deed? Now for your headlines. Headline 1. Saudi Arabia is providing the Palestinian Authority with a $90 million grant. This money is to help keep the cash-strapped PA afloat. Riyadh notified the PA's finance minister yesterday about the incoming cash, which is reportedly enough to keep PA essential services running for a few more weeks. There's a backstory here, and it has to do with the infamous Palestinian welfare program colloquially known as Pay for Slay. For years, the PA has been providing welfare to the families of terrorists, which is why the Israeli government sometimes withholds tax revenue from Ramallah. The PA says it stopped Pay for Slay. Israel says that's not so. And since May, Israeli Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich has refused to sign off on the transfers, ostensibly in protest of the push to recognize a Palestinian state. Plus, let's not forget that the PA is riddled with corruption and mismanagement. Ramallah is on the brink of bankruptcy, and the Saudis are making a $90 million pledge of solidarity. Headline 2. 3 Israeli soldiers were wounded in 2 separate attacks yesterday. Over in the West Bank, the IDF dispatched troops to investigate a suspicious individual spotted near a settlement called Ateret. When the troops found the guy, he pulled out a knife, stabbed 2 of the soldiers before being shot dead. The whole thing was captured on CCTV footage. Earlier, another soldier was injured in a car ramming attack near the West Bank city of Hebron. Hamas and the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine, otherwise known as the PFLP, were cheering from the sidelines. Hamas encouraged Palestinians in the West Bank to keep the attacks coming. And headline 3, sticking to the West Bank beat, the IDF raided the offices in Ramallah and Hebron of an organization called the Union of Agricultural Work Committees. During the raid, Israeli forces arrested 22 individuals and confiscated about 700,000 shekels, which is equivalent to approximately $215,000. The Union of Agricultural Work Committees, or UAWC, sounds benign, but according to the IDF, it's a wing for the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine, the same PFLP that celebrated yesterday's car ramming attack and that sits on the list of U.S. designated foreign terrorist organizations. The Israeli government designated the UAWC itself as a terrorist organization back in 2021. All right, it's time to press play on that pre-recorded conversation between John Schanzer and Amr Al Bidh of the Southern Transitional Council. So sit back, relax, and have a listen.
Welcome to the FDD Morning Brief. Amr Al Bidh.
It's good to be with you, Jonathan.
All right, great to have you. I want to start with just what is the Southern Transitional Council? This is an entity that is based in southern Yemen, not northern Yemen. There's a reason for that. There's been a civil war. So maybe just walk us through how you guys came to be.
Well, we are a semi-governmental organization that it's a political and also at the same time a military organization that fought the Houthis after the the war started in Yemen 2015, and we were established, and we are the one who kicked out the Houthis, obviously from south of Yemen, and we let the international organized government to come back to the city of Aden and clear most of the Houthis in that area, in most of the south. And we are now currently doing two tasks, or kindly maybe three tasks, which is fighting the Houthis in the front lines. At the same time, doing counterterrorism and fighting Al Qaeda and their affiliated groups in the south, where they have some pockets supported by other organizations, political organization. And at the same time, trying to provide services by joining the government and security to our people.
Okay, this is obviously fascinating and very complicated. Aden, of course, is the largest city on the southern coast of Yemen, and this is where everybody is operating from right now. How are those battle lines looking with the Houthis? I mean, you are fighting them on multiple fronts, right? And they're still trying to move south, are they not?
Well, they've tried a couple of times. We've had since 2022 a ceasefire with them. Now it's kind of a de facto ceasefire. It's not official ceasefire, but we are holding lines. Like, no one is advancing. Sometimes they try to advance the south. That's what they aim for, because the south is what they want, is because of the oil, because of the strategic location of Aden and Bab el-Mandeb. So they are willing to do that, but because we are on the ground, we keep them away from it.
Yeah, and for folks at home, the Bab el-Mandeb is, of course, this very narrow crossing point into the Red Sea. It's a choke point, and it's incredibly important that the STC and the internationally recognized government hold on to this, given everything that's gone on in the region. As you've watched the Houthis and their aggression has expanded, the attacks against Israel, obviously, and all the ballistic missile and drone attacks, the attacks on the Red Sea, are there things that the STC is doing to help, whether it's Israel, the United States, Western governments that are struggling with the Houthi challenge? How is the STC working with all of these actors?
Well, we've done our part when it comes to trying to strangle the Houthis. When it comes to smuggling weapons, they try to smuggle weapons and advanced technologies from Iran and other areas that we've seen last month, and we try our best to not let these weapons to reach. Well, still, there's so much. The space is a lot. The distance to cover is a lot, but we try our best, and the idea is to squeeze them up in the north and not allowing them to get what they can to threaten the region and threaten also behind the region.
Yeah. And good luck with that, because it doesn't look like it's going particularly well right now. But you know what? We're glad you're there. We're glad someone's on those front lines. And I think if anything, you probably need more help from the West in order to achieve your objectives. I want to ask you about another objective, which is the counterterrorism file. Of course, the Houthis are a terrorist group, but they're almost a state unto themselves, which I think is, you know, I sort of call them like almost like a Shiite Taliban or something. But then you have the Sunni extremism challenges, right? You've got Al Qaeda of the Arabian Peninsula specifically. You've got elements of the Islamic State. How are those battles going for you?
We've been doing this since the beginning. I mean, we've been affected by those people for 30 years, and especially for the STC, we worked with our friends in the United Arab Emirates to counter terrorism in these areas, and also sometimes with the United States to counter terrorism in these. We've been we secured our city of Aden after liberating that city. It was full of Al Qaeda groups. We cleared that, and we cleared all the provinces beside the city. And we've been doing this and for years now, and we'll continue to do that. The thing is that what we've seen is that the coordination between these two groups. You know, at the end, these fundamentalists, these groups, at the end, they meet, though they are like, these are the Shia side and the other one is the Sunni side. But in a way, they coordinate. And we have evidence that they coordinate in these areas.
Yeah.
And that's what we are facing right now.
And correct me if I'm wrong. There's one city where they're actually they're working together to maintain control. I think it's Al Bidh. Is that correct? Is that the one area where we actually see the overlap of the Houthis and Al Qaeda working together?
100%, John. That's what that's exactly what they're doing. And from that area, it's known that Al Qaeda's presence is heavily present in that area. At the same time, we know that most of these drones and missiles that was hitting the Arabian Sea, the north of Indian Ocean, at the same time, comes from that area.
So this is amazing. Why would the United States, the Israelis, all the Western countries that have suffered, why would we not just target this one specific area and perhaps pave the way for the SDC to come in? I mean, is this where you're primarily focused right now, the SDC and its military operations?
Definitely, there were some operations there. Like the Americans have done some of the attacks there, but it needs a comprehensive approach. It needs a coordinated on the ground. That's our job that we should do. At the same time, there should be from different areas, like the American and the rest of the region should help us doing that. And I think if we coordinate these operations, then definitely we're going to have a good solution and good results.
Yeah, I mean, I just got to say, the idea that you have a place that is controlled jointly by Al Qaeda and the Houthis, it's like the daily double. I mean, this is like you can't think of a better target for Western counterterrorism. And well, that'll be something that I think FDD can.
At the same time, you know, this location, like all the Al Qaeda comes from there. Like we are suffering from that. That's the areas that we should block and clear.
All right. Well, more on that, I hope, in the future. Meantime, I want to ask you, we just had this kind of big moment here in Washington on Monday where we designated the Ikhwan, the Muslim Brotherhood. You have a pretty significant Muslim Brotherhood presence in Yemen right now. It's an organization that I've followed for many years. It's called the Islah Party. They are known to have worked with Al Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula. We also know that they have had intersections with the Houthis as well over the years. Tell us about this group and maybe opportunities that we have to work with the STC to roll them back as well.
Yes, we are partners within the government, the international governments with the Islah Party. The Islah Party is some elements of that party is Muslim Brotherhood. So if they were designated, then there would be a big question of legitimacy of this government, and we need to do something about it. And I think, given that it will be internationally recognized that this group is a terrorist group, that definitely will help. That will definitely help our work within the government, clearing this and making it like direct and goal efficient. Because when you work with groups within you, that's where you can't really achieve your goals, because you have the Houthis in the front and you have the Muslim Brotherhood within.
Yeah, that's pretty wild that they're part of the solution right now, I guess, to some extent. So I guess we'll watch that one, but I've got to imagine that it's complicating matters, this new development out of Washington. Look, I think there's a bigger question that I need to ask, and that is, right now we have de facto 2 Yemeni states, right? This is, of course, nothing new. There was a civil war in the 1990s that divided Yemen, and yet we're back to the same place, North Yemen, South Yemen. But there are people that say that some kind of independence of the South would actually create more problems for the country. How do you respond to that?
Totally. I don't really agree with this position. First, Yemen historically were never united. South Arabia, South Yemen was just united in 1990, and then there was a civil war that the North occupied the South. So that's one thing. Then after the recent war, 2015, where the Houthis tried to take the whole country, when we pushed them back, it showed us that there is two. Now we have, in reality, two states, in the south and in the north. It's already separated. The big problem is, how can you unite Yemen now? It's not how to separate them. The thing is that, how can we unite Yemen while we have such an organization that believe, that is radical, that believe that they have their own right to rule given by God? Yeah. And where we in the south, we are a national group, secular, who believe in our people's rights. We don't think that we can merge back again with these people. So the idea is just squeeze them, contain them up in the north as much as we can. If we can do something, we will do, but we will keep our area safe, and also not only for us, but also for the region and international community.
Yeah, I think that's all you can do. I mean, again, you think about the Houthis and their ideology and their patrons. I mean, they've got the Iranians backing them and providing them with missiles and training and weapons. I mean, everything that they need in order to fight. And they're calling for death to America, death to Israel, curse on the Jews. You know, God is great. You know, it doesn't exactly look like a rational actor. Last question before I let you go. Let's say you have independence, quasi-independence. There have been rumors, people have been talking about, well, what would it mean if this internationally recognized government were to recognize Israel? Is this part of the plan? Is this something that's being discussed?
We believe in frameworks to have coordination to fight these groups. So our presidents always think that if the South, given its strategic location, need to be part of this framework, of a regional framework that involves Israel and the neighbors to coordinate and to work together to fight these terrorist groups. And definitely we are part of, we think, as part of that group, and this is something that's essential in order for stability, enhance stability in this region.
I tend to agree. I tend to think, by the way, also that if the Saudis move toward normalization, then it'll be a lot harder for anybody to criticize the STC for doing so. Obviously, you know, you already have the Emiratis, and I know they've been very involved in the operations of your organization. So I wish you the best of luck. I think the region is depending on you, so keep up the fight. And thank you for joining us today on the FDD Morning Brief.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Okay, here's what FDD has on tap for you today. In The Spectator, my colleague Edmund Fitton Brown examines the White House's recent crackdown on select branches of the Muslim Brotherhood. He argues that while the move is necessary and long overdue, it is weakened by Trump's coziness with the Brotherhood's key patrons. Yes, that's Turkey and Qatar. Meanwhile, my colleague Craig Singleton has a sharp piece in the New York Times on the Japanese Prime Minister's recent warning that if China were to attack Taiwan or impose a blockade, it would threaten Japan's own security and could thus justify a Japanese military response. Craig underscores that now is the moment for Washington and Tokyo to stand firm in their support for Taipei, demonstrating that Beijing's goal of isolating the country is more far-fetched than it would like the world to believe. And finally, don't miss the latest episode of FDD's Foreign Policy, where host Cliff May is joined by Ambassador Alberto Fernandez to break down the turmoil unfolding across the world's second-largest continent. They delve into the influence of jihadist and militant groups throughout Africa, as well as the troubling reach of China and Russia. Keep an eye on this front. It doesn't get nearly the attention it deserves. All right, time to call it quits. If you're looking for more, check out the expert analysis on our website, fdd.org. Scroll through our social media channels, and if you're still feeling inspired from Giving Tuesday, you can make that tax-deductible donation at fdd.org/invest. Tune in Friday for another episode of the FDD Morning Brief. I'll be filling in for John Schanzer again. In the meantime, thanks for letting me host you today. I'm Natalie Ecanow, signing off for FDD.